on my end because I have mine where you can't see it unless I approve it. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to stream it over here to my group. StreamYard must have a description.
Boom. Let's go here. Go to Instagram. Go live.
And,
All right, we live on Instagram. We are in the building. Also in YouTube, so we're ready to rock. All right, bro. I'm gonna count us down. You ready?
ready?
All right, here we go. Boom. Yo, what's up? It's your boy C Starks in the building with another episode of the podcast, warm up podcast, that is. And I have a very, very special, legendary guest in the house. You know what I'm saying? So, for everybody, for everybody, this is a podcast that was created for entrepreneurs. So basically, preparing people for health, wealth, and entrepreneurship. Information is power. So information is power. And my thing with this podcast, you never know if you're talking or listening to the next you. So and it was created because I was told I didn't have any substance. So I created a platform for people of substance that everybody has something to say. So I want to do that again. And if you guys in the audience, if you like stuff like this, consider subscribing and going to my YouTube channel. I have it down at the bottom, and subscribe, and like it. And so this is going to be, it's a great format, man. So, super duper jumped in these podcast waters. So, and my guest today, been knowing this brother a long time, man, a long time. And Art was funny since I started doing podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, I asked somebody to be on or whatever. It's like, cool. So you kind of you're gonna do a little research. So, but it's like, people, what I'm saying? Then you start digging, like, oh, dang, you know what I'm saying? So, and and as I was just doing some stuff, and you sent me your bio. I was looking out like, man, this is crazy. You know what I mean? So. Last week we had Danny. He was the first black DA in Jefferson County, and today we have some more history. You know what I'm saying? This my fella. You know what I mean? The first black man to enter into anchor prime time news broadcasting. Like that is dope. And I didn't even think about it. Like, dang, for real? You know what I mean? And just blessed to have history on the warm up, again, and Emmy Award winning, 38 years of broadcasting.
How many years?
38. It said 30. Yeah. 38, man. He's an author. He's an entrepreneur. And his bio just goes on and on. And I wasn't gonna say this, man, but I'm gonna say he's a member of this fraternity.
Great fraternity. 1911.
the other 1911. You know what I'm
The
saying?
real 1911.
great brother, man. Great brothers, Omega Psi Phi. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody who's watching and
And of
who's
course,
watching the room.
Curtis is the 1911 Kappa Alpha Psi. So, we give
Yeah, hey,
props to the
man.
brothers as well.
We get
All,
props.
all Greek brothers. Yeah, we give respect.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. And so the last time he had me over to his home, um, and Art, what I do like before my podcast, I always try to do some type of vintage T-shirt, something like that.
Okay.
And I was thinking, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put my Alabama shirt on because I was at it. And listen, after the first night, I was at his house. I was like, yeah, yeah, we're gonna win. I mean, I was just talking mad stuff, and they end up winning, And I was like, I'm gonna roll tide on today, and so
should we set the stage as to what you're talking about when you were over
yeah.
the last time, because you've been here many times.
Set the stage. Set the stage.
In this particular room, watching on that television right back there,
right?
was Curtis was actually here for the Alabama-Michigan watch party for the CFP, the playoffs, the football playoffs for college football. And Chris Gould, who was an Alabama alum, Alabama legend, played
yes, sir.
for a number of years, 7 years at least, with the Indianapolis Colts.
Right.
Good friend who lives in the neighborhood as well. We did a watch party together. And of course, if we do anything here at the house, Curtis is always on the invite list because he doesn't need an invite. He was here representing Alabama, as were 90% of the people in the household that day, representing Alabama. Well, at the end of the day, of course, they left very quietly after that loss. We had a good time, though, didn't we?
We had a good time. We have a great time every time we over to Arts, man. It's great hospitality. His wife is great in hosting, so great host. So that night I left kind of like, dang, because I knew we were gonna win, but and you were chill. You were chill. So every time you left the room, something happened. Like, yes, leave the room again, Art, leave the room again, Art. And yeah, man. So it was cool. It was cool.
It was a great game. It was actually the better game of the college playoffs. That game was better than the Michigan-Washington game. So, I mean, whenever you play Alabama, you're playing a legendary football program, and that really are the gold standard when it comes to college football. I have to give them that. So,
100%. But that's
but
what's up.
We're wearing the national championship shirts this year, though. So.
Yeah. It's all good, man. Hey, you got you one.
Yeah.
Good, man. So listen. So there you go.
We're ancient times, though, but it's still 12.
It's 12. So, man, listen, again, I appreciate you for jumping on, the Warm Up podcast, and we're just talking about some stuff. Some people, lots of people know you. We're gonna get down into some deep stuff, and we're gonna do our thing. All right. So, all right, this is the segment of the show where I always say something that happened in the week. It's like thing you make you say, So, and I thought about it. I'm like, well, should I want to talk about the Diddy situation. You know what I'm saying?
Everyone else is.
Everyone, and I'm in media too, so I gotta we talk about it. But I don't want to focus on what he did. But I want to focus on, since you are in media, well, you were in media, and I'll actually a PR firm that you launched. We're gonna talk about that as well. How can social media how can the media almost build you up and what I'm saying, and tear you down quickly? Do they do it on purpose? Like, what's the play on that?
Well, I mean, there's so many different situations. When I look at the Diddy situation, you cannot be torn down if you don't do anything to be torn down by. So when people say is the media that may be doing it, certainly someone of his stature who's a big time celebrity and A-lister throughout the entertainment industry and also fashion as well. When you do something or allegedly do something of that caliber, there's video of it, and that people can be harmed. I mean, the thing about the Diddy situation, it was the disgusting nature of what happened
Right.
that made everyone say, as you say, but you did more than just say, You're like, I
Mm-hmm.
can't believe that this brother would do something like that to a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what the media does in a situation like that, it's going to get played. Everything has a shelf life, though. I want to tell you that everything does have a
Okay.
shelf
All right.
life. At some
Okay.
point, the Diddy story won't be the hot story. It depends on what's hot right now, but that is
Right.
a hot story right now. But he caused that situation himself, and what they're doing is just reporting exactly what happened as they
Right.
know it for the
As they know it.
have at this point, because obviously we don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting bits and pieces, and more starts to unravel as time goes on.
Right. You know, my mom always told me, especially when I started getting into my entrepreneurship, she said, you know what? She said, bad news travel faster than good news. You
Absolutely,
know, and
to your mom.
yeah, yeah. And she always said you have to, you have to move a certain way. Certain things you can't do, certain people you can't hang around. You know what I'm saying? Try to stay low key and and it's okay to be private. You know what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of time that we have these positions. I mean, even just regular positions, they kind of go to our head and we jump out of who we truly are to someone else, and that in itself can make or break you, and I think it's important to have really good people around you in your circle, what I'm saying? Like, hey, dog, like you can't do that, you can't move that way, you can't do these things, stuff like that. So
You're right. It's important that you have friends in your life, family members, or people that you trust to make you accountable. Someone who has to, check you and say, brother, the things you're doing are harmful not only to someone else, they're harmful to you, and you need to check yourself and kind of put you back in your place. Not because they're critical of what you're doing, because they care about what's happening to you and want to see you rise instead of seeing you fall, and want to go
correct.
ahead and get that information to you and let you know about what's happening on the front end before it becomes a problem for you down the road. And that's just
Absolutely.
that's what friends are for. I expect that from
Yeah.
the friends that I'm actually close with. If you're
Hmm.
not doing that, then obviously you don't care enough about me to stop me from doing something that's going to be harmful to myself.
Right. And they're around you for the wrong reasons. You know what I'm saying? People, yeah, some people think they're around you because of you. No, they're around you because of the access you have. You know what I'm saying? They don't love you. They love the access that you give them, the money that you have, those things like that. So people have to be very, very conscious. I mean, you can sit back and watch people sometime and they'll tell you exactly, what I'm saying, why they're around.
Yeah.
They'll tell you 100%.
Their behavior, even when they're not saying it themselves, their behavior will give it away. And
Yeah.
you'll notice, and I think God gives you that discernment so that you can
Right.
spot people who are not good for you. But the problem is not everybody gets rid of those people. You see some of our high profile people out there, whether they're athletes, entertainers, or others, that have people just hanging around their little
Hmm.
groupies in their
Hmm.
clique, so to speak, and know that these people are not good for them, but they just
Right.
won't get rid of them because, they're my friends and I can't let them go. But you got to learn how to get rid of dead weight and get rid of people who are going to be harmful for you. You got to be able to see that and take action.
Exactly. I think I put a quote up last month. It said, the best way to lose is the opinion of other people. You know what I'm saying? And also, Art, yesterday I was in church and the sermon was about offensive. Being offensive and being offended. And the pastor said this. He was like, "Hey, um, sometimes you can forgive people, but we just can't fellowship together anymore." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. It's just not working. So that's something that I think people should always do it. So, all right, man. Let's get into it, man. Listen, I love superhero stories. Like I love, that's my thing, Marvel, and I always love the background on, how they got to where they are now. They got the superpowers. So I'm gonna ask you, tell us like, what's your background, man? Where you from? I know, so I'm gonna
Yeah, I
let you
know you know,
explain.
so but we
Yeah,
can get into it.
let's get into it.
Yeah, we can get into it for sure. Very proud to be a native Detroiter. Detroit is my home, born and raised on the east side of Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Southeastern High School, left Southeastern High School, went to the University of Michigan up in Ann Arbor, and went there thinking that I was going to medical school.
Oh wow.
Thinking
Wow.
that I was going to medical school, thought I was smart enough to go to medical school at that time, but physics quickly, put me back in my place. Said, brother, I don't think medical school is going to be for you. I was actually planning on, Curtis, I was planning on being an OBGYN. My goal was to be an obstetrician gynecologist. And that was what I just knew what was in the cards for me at the time. I was in a curriculum in my high school called biomedical careers. There were
Mm-hmm.
33 of us in our high school, and we were all in the same course of curriculum. We went to the same classes together. We were kind of separated from the other students in the school because we were chosen for that pre-med school, and got to Michigan, and physics says, you know what, son, your math just isn't strong enough for you to do well. And plus I was, 17-year-old kid, couldn't settle down, was all excited about what I was doing, didn't sit down and be disciplined enough to get that portion, but did not fail physics. Did not fail.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Hard enough to get a W before you fail. You do not want a
Mm.
4 credit F. You know that. Your
You know that.
GPA
Yeah.
destroyed. So when things are not going well, if you're in college and things are not going well, identify that it's not happening and get out of
Mm-hmm.
that before it harms your GPA, because that's so
That's cool.
important to do. But anyway, did that, and this backstory there, I became radio, television, film, and then graduated, did my thing in radio in Flint, Michigan, is where I got my start in radio at WDZZ FM 93 FM.
Okay.
And but always emulated the stations in Detroit. My favorite station growing up was 98.7 in Detroit, WJLB. That
Right.
was my radio station, and I would go to Flint imitating the jocks in Detroit. And so I brought a whole new flavor to Flint because I was doing the big market style in a smaller
Gotcha.
market. Yeah. And then from
Yeah.
there, then came television, Lansing, Michigan, became, and actually, again, first there when I became the first black male on a regular broadcast station there in Lansing.
Oh
Left Lansing,
wow.
went to Norfolk, Virginia, 5
Mm.
years there as a military affairs correspondent there, getting a chance to cover stories throughout the world, cover the Persian Gulf War, and just had an amazing time. That's where I really grew up
Mm-hmm.
as a journalist, covering some real serious stories for this country, and then came to Birmingham, Alabama in 1991. It's hard to
Right.
believe that long ago. Young
Yeah.
guy, came here, and this city really embraced me, and I fell in love with what the city was all about and the people in the city. And as you know, back in those days, we were running around doing everything we could to try to make a difference out in the streets, all the different schools we had. And I've got a long story, so I'll stop because I've got you have questions that you can pick up. But that was my story, was graduating radio, television, film, getting into the industry, getting my chops in Norfolk, Virginia is really where I grew up, and then came to Birmingham, and that's where I grew as an anchor here in Birmingham.
Wow, wow, yeah, yeah. And I think I met you like in '96, something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah, like '96, and then you left, and then you came back. You know what I'm saying?
left. Yeah, went
It
to New
came
York, left
New York. That's what it was. You went to New York. Yeah.
New York,
Um.
then Miami, then Atlanta, 9 years there, and then
That's
Los
cool.
Angeles, and came back.
So as a kid, like, did you always know? So were you just wanted to do the doctor thing, or did you know you were gonna be a
Yeah,
journalist? Like, okay,
the
so it
journalist,
just you.
the journalist thing came by later. That was not the original plan. It was to be a doctor. I expected.
Wow.
I was that kid that was very fortunate and blessed that I excelled
Hmm.
in my academic pursuits, and for all the way through, from I was teacher pets. You know how those days are when that kid is just doing really well, and I was
Right.
double promoted from the third to the fifth grade, skipped the fourth grade, and I was on track, man. I thought I was on track to be a doctor, and but
Wow. Wow.
God had other plans. So no, I did not think that I was going to be a journalist all along. It was in school at Michigan where I discovered that maybe I should use some of my natural gifts and switch over to television, radio, television, film.
Well, let me ask you a question, man. What is the significance of the number seven for you?
The significance of the number seven is a lot. Significance of the
Yeah.
number seven. And how did you know
Mhm.
about the significance of the
Yeah.
number?
See, hey, listen. If I'm gonna do this thing, you know what I'm saying? I gotta
Doing
do
your
my
homework.
research, man. I gotta do
Yes.
my homework. I gotta just gotta come up with these questions.
The significance.
I thought it was awesome too when I read. I was like, oh wow, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah, that was cool.
The significance of the number seven for me, I am the seventh child of my mother, Annie Franklin. I'm her seventh child. And I was always told that that was God's number of
Perfection.
perfection, and
Hmm.
that there were big things expected of me, that I had to do great things, that I was, even as a youngster, I was told that the expectation is for you to do great things. And I think when they pour that into you, you kind of reach
Hmm.
that. Unfortunately, so many kids are told what they can't do, and
Right.
they're just like this person who's not doing well. But I had the opposite. I had a family that always poured into me that you're the
Hmm.
seventh child, and the seventh child born on the 13th at that. So,
Wow.
and so while other people think the 13th was bad, for me, obviously the 13th is a very lucky day. So
Lucky
I
day
was
for you.
double lucky, seven on the 13th. And so that's the significance of seven to me.
So I always talk about family and on here and the influence that like family had on you. So how important is family to you? And I hear you talk about your mother and her influence on your career.
Yeah. Except, let me tell you, family next to God. Yeah, I was always
Hmm.
taught God first, family second. That there's nothing more important to me than family. And
Hmm.
now, and as we talk about family, let's be real about family.
Hmm.
Family and family can sometimes be people who are not blood related to you. And I know that
Absolutely, 100%.
it may be a strange concept for some people, but family, when I think of family, there's not just my biological family, but the people who
Hmm.
become family to me because of the love that they show and the concern that they have and the fact that they have your back. But in our case, my mother always taught us that family was more important than anything else, and that we had to take care of our family. We had to look out for our family. But
Hmm.
then sometimes you got to be real careful even about that, because sometimes even family, like you talked about other people, that
Hmm.
that cannot be, that's not always in your best interest. So
There you
you
go.
yeah. So that's keeping it real. But the most important thing to me outside of God is family. Yeah.
Wow, absolutely, absolutely. So how did you become? And you just, I mean, I know it's hard work and hard work, dedication. It can result. That's my thing. So, becoming a Emmy award winning journalist, how did that happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, take the viewers on through a journey, because my son, he's wants to do what you
Uh,
did. So, um, someone who's thinking about being a journalist, or I guess communication, it would be in college. That what do you major in? Just take us through the process.
Okay, and there are different ways of getting there, because there's so many different jobs in the industry. People so often
Okay.
look at reporters and anchors and don't realize there are a million other people behind the scenes making things happen. Whether it's the photographer, the producers, the news directors, the general managers, the salespeople, accountants, engineers. There are people
Mhm.
all over that building who contribute to that product and make that product great. So it's not just those people that you see on air. But I can tell you, in my case, I was always taught that you have to operate at your best and operate at excellence. So
Mhm.
for me, it means not always being the smartest person in the room, but certainly being the most prepared person in the room.
Okay.
Even
Oh
so,
wow. Okay.
you've got to put the work in. If you have an assignment for something on a particular day, then put
Mhm.
in the work to be prepared so that that assignment is done well. And that's where I think set the ball into motion for always operating at a high level of excellence. And because of that, when I got into this field, and that I researched, I wrote, I studied my material. I knew how to get my sources, I also knew
Mhm.
how not to burn your sources. How when you got sources, that those sources had to be, you have to nurture those sources and make sure those sources are taken good care of, because they're taking good
Good.
care of you with providing you with good information. So put in the work, research, work as hard as you can, do it at the best of your ability, and just check, and then think about, for me, also think about the amount of harm you might be doing to someone else. So as you're covering your stories, because there's so many different stakeholders in what we do as journalists, even like in the Diddy story,
Mhm.
you've got the alleged victim, you got the perpetrator, you got all the other people who tried to help and people who were
Mhm.
associated. So when you're doing a story like that, consider the amount of harm that you may do to someone else. And I think that's what always drove me, even about
Mhm.
us, stories about us, that it was
Mhm.
important that we were presented in the best light that we could present ourselves, as opposed to having Ray Ray and Pookie and on camera saying stuff that they really didn't know about, but just trying to be on camera. They weren't in my stories because I didn't want them in my stories, because they were not good representation of who we were as a people. So all of those things, I think, contribute to my success over time, because people knew that I cared about what I put on the air.
Was it ever a story that you said, I'm not gonna do it? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because yeah. Oh, really?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no
Enlighten
question
us.
about it. I was the agitator in the room sometimes now, because
Mm.
I've always believed in that if this job wasn't there, there was another job for me. So I was not afraid to not have a job, because I knew God would take care of me. There was
Mhm.
a particular time, even in this town, where
Mhm.
there was a story that the station wanted me to do, and it was a story. They wanted me to do a story, actually a whole hour on, it was Crime Stoppers Live. Was They wanted me to do a piece on Crime Stoppers Live and showing all the criminals. And at the time, we were here in Birmingham dealing with a crisis of young people dying at the hands of other young people. And so I
Okay.
said, no, I do not want to do that. What I want to do is this. Here's my story, and this is what I want to do. And that ended up being where I got my first Emmy, the documentary called Kids in Violence Saving a Generation. And it was
Okay.
because I said no to what was proposed to me, and I presented a better option. Yeah. So you
I
sometimes you got to.
100%. I was talking to someone, you and I know, and I sit and talk to her all the time. And like, hey, sometimes you got to say no. You know what I'm saying? And 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 that puts you in a certain position too. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, saying no is powerful. You know what I mean? And not take, yeah. I mean, you got, I mean, you stand there. They say now 10 toes down. Like, no,
And you got to be ready to take the consequences, no matter what they may be. It came
you have
again
to.
when we had a situation, when a program that I was running here in this city, I was told that we didn't have the budget for that program.
Mm-hmm.
Really? I said, that's the one thing that I work hard for every year, to put on this one program, because it benefits so many people economically, and young people, and what we've already seen, what it did in terms of impacting crime, youth crime, and things of that nature in the city. And I said, if
Mm-hmm.
you don't have the budget for that, I don't see the reason for me to come in tomorrow. That's really. She said,
Wow.
really? I said,
Wow.
so you're telling us that if we don't have the budget for that, that you're not coming in. I said, I'm going to say it one more time. If you can't find the budget for that, then I don't see a reason for me to show up. And they went
Wow.
back, came back later, called me back in the office, say, um, we've got the budget for your program. There
Yeah.
we go.
I
So
thought,
I'll
yeah,
see. And
there
I
you
said,
go.
I'll see you tomorrow. So
That is cool. That is cool. That is cool. So this is gonna lead me into my, well, I asked you that one a minute. So well, no, we're gonna ask you now. So leads me to my, my question that is I love it. So what's your superpower? Every superhero has a superpower. So what's yours?
my superpower is my faith.
Good
There's
one.
nothing, there is no greater power than faith, because I know what God has done for me. I know
Mm-hmm.
what God has done every time I needed God to show up in my life. He did.
Mm-hmm.
I needed God to open doors. God was there. When I need God to close doors and close windows to keep bad stuff out, God was
Right.
there for that too. When I needed
That's
God
what's
to
up.
lift me up, to wake me up, to get me up, to set me up, God was there, brother. So my superpower rests in my faith, and there is no greater power than my faith in God.
There it is. There it is. So if you have a superpower, you gotta have kryptonite. Now, what do you think your kryptonite is?
Oh, well, there are a number of them.
Yeah.
There are a number of them. I think we all have challenges with, in
Mhm.
my case, with having the ability to say no, because there's so many projects that come my way, and I'm sure my wife would say, oh, she says it all the time, you need more sleep, you need to do this, you got too much in your plate, but I also believe that faith, that
Mhm.
superpower gets me through, and when I really need to shut it down, I will. But that's the thing that will draw from my energy and pull me down and set me back after a while, is because I just try to do everything that comes my way, because I believe I'm capable of making it happen. But I've got to learn, and I'm still learning, that
Yeah.
sometimes that you can't do it all, and you just got to stay in your lane and just do what you can do in a smaller lane. So
That's good. Good information. Good information. Now, um, so after 38 years, so what happened? I think it was April 2022.
April 2000. It's been that long. It was the end of April going into May is when I called it quits. When I said that I'm retiring from this after 38 years, that it really had come. And I tried to do that once before. Now it wasn't the first time.
Okay.
I was like,
Okay. Okay.
didn't Tom Brady retire a couple of times, or
He,
Michael Jordan
he
retired
retired
a
one.
couple
Yeah.
of times?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan retired a couple of times. Uh,
Yep.
I thought that I had retired once before. In fact, I remember leaving this city in 2002 and left it
Mm-hmm.
behind then and moved to New York, and then ended up back in television in Atlanta. Ended up working at two television stations there, 11 Alive and Fox 5. Ended up back in the industry. But in 2002, I said, it's time. You know, there's so many other things out there that I want to do while I'm still young enough to make an
Mm-hmm.
impact and to enjoy my life while I'm still young. I don't want to be that person who retires and you just sit back and you're on the porch on a rocking chair and you do nothing but go visit this place and that place. I still had to be impactful, just in another arena. And
Okay.
with the internet and what was happening digitally in terms of creating content and things of that nature, where we can control
Mhm.
things where we couldn't control before, because we didn't have the capital to own television stations unless your name is Byron Allen and Oprah
Right.
Winfrey.
Or Oprah
Or
Winfrey, somebody like that. Yeah.
oh yeah, we didn't have the typical, those of us that, on this level, did not have the capital to do that. But because, as we see with what you're doing with your podcast, the
Mm-hmm.
digital content today can be created without having to expend a lot of capital to do so. And so I
Right.
wanted to still do some other things while I was still young enough and creative enough and had the energy to do those things. And it was time to leave that behind and allow me to control what my days look like and not let somebody else control those days.
Absolutely, 100%. Hey, I got this. I got this old thing. So, hey, I want to. What is it? I always say, what is failure? And I ask the question. People like, yeah, this might not work out. This might not work out. I said, no. Failure is the inability to live your life on your own terms. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So that's what it is. And I was wondering about it. Like, if someone have a passion about something that they do, you know what I'm saying? It's like for me, I always sit down and I wonder, like, when am I gonna say I'm done training? You know what I mean? Because it's such a passion of mine, So, and I was waiting to ask you, like, did you wake up one morning like, this is it, or is it a feeling? So, like athletes, like really good athletes, like Kobe just knew his body couldn't do it anymore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And Jordan, he like, man, I can't do it anymore. So, is it that you get tired of it, or just like it's this feeling like, I've given this game all I can, and I want to venture on and to reinvent myself to do something different?
Well, in my case, I had a lot left in the tank that I could have gone another 20 years if I decided
Okay.
to be in television, but I didn't want to do another 20 years with someone else determining, that I had to be in a place at a certain time. So
Got
it's
it.
about
Got it. Got it.
taking control of your life while you still can, and not just
Mm-hmm.
leaving a place and all you have left is to just sit on the bench. I wasn't ready to sit on the bench. I'm ready to be
Right.
impactful. I'm ready to use my talents in other ways that I can
Mm-hmm.
open doors for other people and that I can get other people in the game the way I want to get them in the game. Because you can push. There have been young people who have come through that I knew were super talented, sent tapes to news directors and say, you need to hire this one. This is the one. And then they end up hiring someone and you look at like, that's who you hired and you had your opportunity. And then you look at them flourish and you look at them just, become great. And you're like, missed opportunity. I didn't want to be that anymore. I want to be able to set it up where I can get people when I can identify talent, that I can
Mm-hmm.
bring that talent along and be impactful in the lives of people who look like me, Black and brown people throughout this country that still needed some chances, that a lot of doors would be closed somewhere else, that once I got things in order, that I could open some of those doors.
Yeah, and that's and that should be the end goal. I tell a couple people all the time, hey, even though you have your job, your 9 to 5, and you have, you know, uh, a business, work that 9 to 5. You know what I mean? Then have an exit plan to get into your thing. You know what I'm saying? Which is a great segue. I want to get into entrepreneurship. Man. What made you jump into entrepreneurship? And you have I mean, you have a lot. I know you wrote a book. Um, you have so the clothing line, man.
Yeah,
What
a lot of
I
things. Yeah.
yeah, the clothing line. I know you launched the PR thing in Atlanta as well, and I read something else about some like music stuff,
Oh, yeah, that's why I have an Atlanta telephone number now, because I had a record label called 285
record
Records.
label.
Yeah,
That's what it was,
I
man.
always,
Wow.
I always believed in having some control in my life of the things that I
Mhm.
do. And before I go there, I want to go back to when you were talking about how do you make that decision, because for
Mhm.
you, I don't think you're going to make that decision anytime soon. You still look the same way you did 25 years ago. You've got a portrait up on the wall somewhere at your home that the portrait is aging and you aren't, because you know it's just not happening. So I know you're not going anywhere anytime soon, even though I know we've talked about some things over the
Talked
years.
about some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's a little different, man. Regardless what people think, your body changes, you know what I'm saying? And, I have to approach something, physically differently now, to still be able to perform at the level that I do, and I think at the point where I can't do that anymore, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Then that's when it's gonna happen, So like I had hip surgery, like almost like 5 months. I don't know. In December, I had hip surgery, and
yeah,
I had a scope, and came back 5 months later. So you know what I'm saying, and it's just one of the things I knew that's what I had to do. But as long as I can operate at this level, I'm
yeah.
good.
You're good.
So
Yeah.
yeah, hey.
So what was the question now?
Entrepreneurship, man. Entrepreneurship. What made you jump into it? A lot of people are scared to jump into entrepreneurship, and I want you to talk about
Don't
what
be afraid.
people. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid uh, to open those doors. I mean, this country is built on the backs of small business. For
Mm-hmm,
people who do just what we do, in terms of just like you having your own company,
mm-hmm,
and I've done a number of things. My first one was I did promotions in Norfolk, Virginia. I used to promote concerts in that area. Brought in
mm-hmm.
Tony Terry and some others back when we
Yeah,
had
man.
me and a friend of mine who was a sailor there, and when we put our funds together and start promoting shows, that was the first entree into entrepreneurship. And then here 285 Records. I started that, which was a neo soul record label. I had an
Mhm.
artist in Atlanta, an artist here, an artist in New York, and artists in Philly. And we just worked them. And I unfortunately found out that you don't do record labels on your own money. You got to because you start studio time and getting artists ready and promotions and branding and marketing and shows and plane tickets and makeup artists and wardrobe. Well, that adds up real fast.
Man,
And
wow,
so
wow,
and so
wow.
and so and you're hoping your artist just your artist makes it. And
Mhm.
that's some talented people, but there are a lot of talented people out there. And so unless everything lines up right, you can spin your wheels and never get there. And even and Logan would tell you, I was managing Logan back in the day and
Did
did his
you?
his very first CD that he did.
No
We did
way.
at Bass Brothers Studio out in Hueytown. Lenard Brown and Lenard
Wow.
Brown with the controllers, where we were working with Logan and producing and managing Logan back then. So yes, I've always had an ear
Okay.
for what we were doing. Laminga Ford, who was a young lady here in Birmingham Parker High School. You know Laminga?
I went to elementary school with Lamingo
Well,
Ford.
you know how talented Laminga was as a singer, right? So
Yes.
me and another friend, we were actually in French Quarters at the time.
Mhm.
That takes us
The
back
French
in the day.
Quarters.
Take us
Yes,
back
sir.
today. And
Yes, sir.
Laminga, we were upstairs listening to the band, and Laminga was singing Whitney Houston like Whitney was in the room.
She can
That's how
go.
great. Yeah, that's how good. And Laminga ended up being signed with Teddy Riley's Black Girls, so she
Mhm.
ended up getting a deal. But so we started working with Laminga. So I mean, it's always been a thing for me. Entertainment has always been something that I've been drawn to and wanted to help people out. And I'm a Detroit and Motown sound.
Yeah, I got
I
you.
grew up around it. My older sisters and mostly my older sisters would talk about stuff that happened with the Motown groups because they were hanging out. They were the same ages as Dinah Ross, and they used to claim, "Oh, Dinah Ross babysat for us." My mother said, "But Dinah Ross did not babysit for you." Yes, they went to school with Dinah, but she did not
She never
babysit.
babysitted.
Yeah,
Got
she didn't
you.
babysit
Got
for
you.
you guys. So yeah, that's where I just always wanted to be in control of my own narrative. I've always wanted to be able to um, get up in the morning and determine what I was going to make based upon how hard I worked, and not because
Right.
of somebody else's 8 hour a day job.
So with the clothing line, what kind of prompted that? And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, let's talk about the clothing line because that
let's
was
talk about the
really
clothing.
yeah, that really did. And a lot of people to this day still talk to me about the clothing line. The clothing line was really something. I was coming out of a meeting as we were preparing for the National Association of Black Journalists convention to come to Birmingham. We were
Mhm.
at a meeting in Inslee because I spend so much time in the Inslee area, play tennis there now, and I always did things in the area. But I was coming out of a meeting in Soho, and I
Mhm.
was saying, "Oh, I got these clothes in the car. I've got to take to a tailor." And I was going to this tailor out on Highway 280, and to get it done. And someone said, "Oh, there's a tailor right around the corner." I said, "There's a tailor right around the corner here?" He said, "Yeah, right around the corner." And I get around the corner. It was Trey. I went to Trey's Clothing, and right around the corner from where I was at the in the meeting. And we
Mhm.
talked, and somehow we talked about the fact that when I was in Atlanta, a designer that I worked with that I was actually also pushing him in terms of his brand, who made it to the finals of Project Runway and some others. We had always talked about me doing a tie line and doing some other things. And then he said, "Oh, really? Are you serious about that?" So yeah, I'm really thinking about doing it. And he said, "Well, if you're serious, take my number. Let's talk."
Right.
And took his number and we talked about it. And then at that point, it was if I can do a clothing line here, it turned out to be a clothing line. So it was bow ties, ties, custom shirts, and custom suits. If I can do that and put my brand on it, it could bring people into his store so that more people will shop in his store as
Got
opposed
it.
to in Summit
Got
and
it.
Hoover. Again, trying
Got
to
it.
push, by us, you know,
Mhm.
shop in our communities where we've got talented things. And so talented people. So as it turned out, he ended up getting a lot of business in the store. We did the launch, and I did models, and we had,
It's awesome.
we had the live band, and it was a big day, and dignitaries and city officials and everybody turned out. We had a great time, and then we launched that, and then it just grew. It really grew.
Wow.
And my wife is still talking about, hey, sweetie, we need to think about, going ahead and open up a store and not a
Yeah.
clothing line. And we're still, it's not off the table yet.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. I never thought. I was like, I'm gonna ask him about that. So it's
Yeah.
cool.
Hmm.
Far as social media, and I know you do some content creation, digital creation, stuff like that. So I want to talk to you about social media a little bit. How what's the benefit of social media now? And it's kind of a twofold question. The benefit of it, how is it being used wrong? Because some people use it for the wrong reasons, and what are the right reasons that people should use and take advantage of to get leads? And of course, we all in business, we want to leads. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of them things. That's your expertise. You tell me.
Well, first of all, how people use it wrong is by bullying. That's one.
Okay.
That's one of the biggest disadvantages and the negatives of social media, especially when it comes to young people. So many young people today have been bullied on social media, and some of them even taken their lives because of some of the things that are said and things that are posted that really can be very harmful to young people who are still trying to find their way and their own identity, and then get bullied online. So I think that's some of the most damaging parts of it. Then there's also posting a lot of things that are not truthful, things that have not
Mm-hmm.
been vetted, things that are
Mm-hmm.
just flat out false. And then people who go to social media, they take it for the gospel. They see it, they read it, and they believe it's true.
And they believe it.
Right. And not realizing that that's just one source of information. It's just your place to start your search, but not to end it right there on that. So I think those are some of the challenges of social media. But some of the opportunities that exist is the ability to reach out and to tell your own story, the ability to
Mm-hmm.
set your own narrative, the ability to impact others by sharing with them and connecting with people throughout the world in this platform, the ability to take control, just like you are right now, like we are, to
Mm-hmm.
be able to use certain platforms to get information out, to educate people, and to entertain them at the same time or separately, but also just the ability to educate, to inform, and to entertain. And I think those are what the advantages of social media and why social media is so important. And when I think of just social media, I think of digital content. So it's not just the platforms, it's the whole content itself. So
Right.
yes, you use Facebook for one thing. They say that's for us, the old folks, and we. But
Yeah.
then Instagram, of course, younger people. TikTok is a whole nother animal that
Man.
the government is still trying to figure out how they're going to deal with TikTok. And then you have X, formerly known as Twitter.
Twitter. Right.
And then you got Snapchat. So I mean, there's so many different forms, and of course, even LinkedIn now has become more of a social media platform than it was when it first started. So many
Right.
different ways, so many different channels to spread information, to educate people and entertain them. And I think that's why social media is so powerful and so important in our lives today. And these young people grew up on social media where it came
We
into
did not.
it came into
Right.
existence while we were there. So yeah. So it's I see the advantages, and I also see some disadvantages of social media as well.
Cool. Favorite book. Favorite book or favorite quote, and why?
Favorite book.
Okay.
Give It All You Got, Art Franklin's book. That's my favorite book.
Yeah, I know. I figured you was gonna do
If
that. I was
you
like,
want to
okay.
talk
So,
about your favorite book,
yeah.
it's got to be your own book. And the thing about my book was, it's 2007, I think it was. Gosh, it's been
Mm-hmm.
so long. Yeah, I was in Atlanta when we launched Give It All You Got, A Message to My Young Brothers. It was a book that really started out about healing after I lost a nephew to violence, and
Okay.
how the family was adjusting to that, and because you never do, and the devastation on my family because of it. And we were looking for ways of of especially my sister and
Hmm.
how she was recovering through that. And then I've got some direction myself. Like, look, you're always doing things to help young Black men. So instead of just on family healing, why don't you write a book that talks to young people, tell your story, tell your nephew's story, and how that will impact the lives of others because of the decisions that they make. And that's how the book came about, and found some real focus. And we put the book out and did some things, especially when we were in Atlanta, just being able to go to like Upward Bound programs and give copies of the book to young men there and throughout the Atlanta area. Didn't do as much here in Birmingham because I wasn't in Birmingham at the time,
Right.
but probably got to do a repurpose on that book. Now that's the favorite book, the book
Okay.
that I believe is impactful now, even though that's impactful in its own way. And I do more listening to books than I do reading. So I download them and I listen to them when I'm driving
Right. Me
and
too.
when I'm working out. I need to do more physical reading too. But the book that's important right now is a book called Believe,
Okay.
and it's a book that's it's discovering the real biblical faith and why it matters so much. It's by Van Moody, who is my pastor
Oh, Van. Yeah, Van Moody. Yeah. Okay.
over at the worship center. And there's so much instructional information that people can use in their church, but the importance of faith. And I talked about faith as my
Right.
superpower. So
Hmm.
that's why when you think about that book and what it means to be empowered in your faith and exploring the real foundation of what faith is all about, that's a book it has my attention right now, is
Okay.
Believe. I'm listening to it more though than I'm actually physically reading it. Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
I
I
didn't
got
tell
somebody in.
I didn't tell I didn't tell Bishop that yet.
He may. Hey, hopefully he see the pocket. The warm up.
Yes.
I got somebody in the comments and said, your book. It is on Audible.
It's actually is on artfranklin.com. It was artfranklin.com.
Okay.
And I've got to I've kind of let that cycle go, and I'm gonna bring it back, and we'll probably do a reprint, and we may do some changes to that book, a second edition. So
Yeah, that's what I said. I wrote a book a couple years ago called Pray, Train, Repeat, and a lot of people thought it was a workout book, but it's not a workout book. It's a book to help you. It's going to motivate you. It's going to inspire you. And it's going to just, give you a lot of motivation. And I just said it the other day. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do uh, a reprint of it, add some more stuff in it, and just kind of, re-release it. At that point, my pops had passed. So, I went back to rededicate to him, but never was in that space to just kind of push it like I supposed to. So I'm gonna do the same thing you're gonna do.
yeah, so many things happen in between the time when you first release it and now, that you have
Hmm.
new experiences and new information that you can add to
Yep.
what you put out. And so certainly from 2007 to where we are now in
Hmm.
2024,
Yeah.
and
2024.
it's got a lot that I can add. And I can also see the immaturity of my writing back then, even though I also
Mm.
and
Mm.
yeah, you have to
Yeah.
be honest with yourself about then that I've grown up in some of my writing, but I also was working on a fiction book at the time too. So I
Oh
would write
wow.
the nonfiction because I was in that space that I needed some healing, but the
Hmm.
fiction was to escape into that place that was just like imaginary and fictional and exciting, and that's the one that everyone keeps trying to. Those who have heard,
Heard
parts
some
of it
of it.
are there like, would you please finish this book? And I've got to finish that. I'm working on screenplay. I'm busy with the creative side at all times, and even now, in the 100th year of our centennial of Omega Psi Phi Alpha Phi chapter here in Birmingham, as we're celebrating our centennial, I'm in the process of working on a documentary that will be a purple carpet documentary
Oh, that'd be
for
awesome.
premiere at Birmingham Museum of Art in July 23rd, I believe it is, and
Okay.
so that will probably be my first doc feature that I would
Wow.
have produced and put together, directed and edited, and the whole bit. So really looking forward to letting my creative juices come to light with that as well.
I guess I'll come, man. I support you.
You always support me, man, and I
Okay,
appreciate
okay.
it because you're a real brother. You just made a
Yeah,
mistake, but it's okay.
that's all good. It's
Yeah,
all
threw
good.
it
It's
out
all
there. Yeah,
good.
no, you're all good. You and Danny both.
Uh,
Y'all all good in my.
oh man, yeah, it's all good. That's good. All right, man. So this is the segment, man. I got a couple questions for you. This is fun. This is called top five pick one. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So
Top
so your
five.
first
One.
pick one. Yeah. All right. So your first question, you got to pick one, and you got to tell why. Trust or loyalty.
Trust or loyalty.
Hmm.
Trust or loyalty. I'd rather be able to trust you because you can be loyal and be loyal for the wrong reasons.
There you
Trust is,
go.
yeah, trust is really about honesty and realness and really being truthful about things as opposed to loyalty is just, you can be loyal in a gang, you know, you can be
That's a
loyal
good point.
for
That's a good point. That's a good
a
point.
lot of negative reasons. So I take trust over loyalty all day long.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Some people they're around you for the access that you can get them and who you are. Yeah, so we're just
Yeah.
talking about that's a good one.
Yeah.
Number two, um, do you go with what you know or how you feel?
Ooh. Sometimes I go with how I feel, but I believe I'm going with how I feel because of what I know.
There you
Because
go. That's a good
I,
answer.
yeah, I go with how I feel because of what I know. Because usually I think I know what's right, and I'm learning that I'm not always the person who knows all the answers, but I've always felt I did. So I go with what I know.
Know what you know. You wake up what you know. All right. Next question. What's more valuable, trust or love?
Trust or love? Love. Love
Okay.
is the greatest of all things. The Bible talks about the greatest of these is love. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you think about, the way God loves us,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that, he died on the cross for us to have that opportunity to have everlasting life and
Mm-hmm.
for us to understand that our importance of loving one another and treating
Mm-hmm.
each other with love and respect. So there's nothing greater than love. So love trumps trust every time.
Gotcha. I am gonna move into another category. So, um, I think I know which one you're gonna say on this one, but I don't. So, um, Prince or Mike?
They both are genius, but here's why. I'm gonna say Mike. I
Oh,
was in
he's gonna say
I
Mike.
was I was in a group called the Junior Jacksons when I was growing up.
Oh no, what?
Yes, and my very first concert that I saw was the Jackson Five. This is a little bit.
Wow.
And Mike
Yeah.
and I are the same age, so it was. But we had the Junior Jacksons, and I had the lead song "I'll Be There." Obviously, that was before I went through puberty, right? So,
Wait a
but my
minute. Hold
voice was
on.
too high.
Your
Yes,
voice?
my voice was really high, and I was singing "You and I." I would hit that note Michael sang, and
Wow.
but Prince was such a genius as well. And when it came
Yeah.
to the playing the instruments and writing the music and producing it, Michael didn't have that skill set. Michael was an amazing entertainer,
Hmm.
great dancer, great singer, but Michael didn't even read music. Michael, yeah. So it's almost like they're in two different categories. But if I
Yeah.
had to choose one, it's going to be Michael because I'm a dance, I'm going to sing, you know, and Prince is just going to give you some great music too, though. But it's Michael. Did you pick
I
Michael? Did you pick Michael?
Prince mine. I like Prince. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And why did you pick
Prince.
Prince?
Some of the things you said, he does it all. You know what I'm saying? He can read music, write music, instruments. He play them. I think he's a good entertainer. He's not Mike entertaining, but he's good, man. So I just I think he's the better um artist. You
Artist.
know what I'm saying?
Artist.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He's
All
not
the
the
way
better
around.
entertainer, but he's a better artist.
He's not
Okay.
he's not the better entertainer. Yeah, right. But he's the better
Did you
artist.
like the movie Purple Rain?
I love Purple Rain. I love Purple Rain, and it's crazy. I stayed in Minneapolis for a stint, and we were downtown. In downtown, it was the club that they actually filmed the Purple Rain at.
Yeah,
It's
I
small
mean,
too.
yeah. Well, most people don't realize that things they see on television is really done in those small quarters. Yeah.
Right. I was like, oh, that's Prince. All right, cool. Let's see. And I want to ask you this one because far as media wise, I want to see which one of these you choose one and which one had the most impact during the time. So it's NWA or Wu Tang Clan. I know
When
which
you
one
think
you're gonna say.
when you think of all that came out of NWA, you know, so from that standpoint alone, I think you got to go with NWA.
You got to go with them.
Yeah, yeah. Wu Tang, hot, great songs, but come on, NWA had more legs, more reach, more expansive than Wu Tang was. So,
Right.
NWA, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
You think I was gonna pick them too?
I did and the reason why, because they were kind of the first to really, police brutality and stuff like that had been going on for years and years and years. So they were kind of the first really street reporters, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, to
Message
allow us
music.
to hear. Yes, yes. So and I think they were the group that Nancy Reagan was trying to um I can't remember,
Trying to censor.
trying to
Um,
censor, yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
what's my next one? Boney James or Mike Phillips?
I know Mike personally, so I can call Mike. Actually, I got Boney's number too, but there's only because of working with him in concerts.
I got Mike now, man. I don't have Boney, but
And I think Mike's your frat brother, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Mike is a new. Um, gosh,
Ooh, that's a tough one, buddy.
well, Boney obviously has had more success, commercial success than Mike has.
Yes.
So
yes.
if you want to measure it on commercial success, but when you want to the soul of Mike Phillips, you've got to go with the brother. So
Man.
I'm going with Mike, someone I know, someone who I've watched develop. I remember in Atlanta when I lived in Atlanta and getting to know Mike and hanging out, grabbing a bite to eat and watching him develop as an artist. So Mike Phillips, as much as Boney has had commercial success,
Yeah.
and if you're talking about albums sold or number of chart-topping hits, you could
go with
go.
Boney.
But some things are measured more than the actual metrics of it. It's the measure of the man, and in this case, the man is Mike Phillips.
All right. So this one, I think I know which way you're gonna go, but I just put it in here anyway. So the 89-90 Detroit Bad Boy Pistons or the 1991, 92, 93 Chicago Bulls.
Well, that's a no-brainer. I'm a Detroiter. The Bad Boys, the Pistons, and our 3 NBA championships, because we got another in 2004
What you got to do with 2004? Yeah.
With Chauncey Billups, and we should have had a three-peat. It should have been back to back to back.
Yeah, San Antonio.
Yep. So, but that's when we were relevant. We haven't been relevant in about 20 years now when it comes to the Pistons. But you see, I still have you see a basket.
I see it. I know.
So yes, the Lions, the Pistons. Don't see Tiger stuff here, but Lions, Pistons, Michigan. They're always going to be prominently displayed, and even that Alabama ball right there, that's over there.
I see it.
Because of my stepdaughter, who was a graduate from the University of Alabama, so the second school in house to Tracy. Yes.
Let me see. Okay, so since you picked the pick, okay, Isaiah or MJ?
Heart with Isaiah, head with MJ. The heart, because Isaiah was just pound for pound. Isaiah was a beast, man. Isaiah was,
Beast.
yeah. And I just remember, was it 25 points in the fourth quarter? I think it was just against the Lakers on a
Yeah.
bad ankle. The, the brother delivered on a bad ankle. But
Yep.
MJ, he's still my GOAT. I don't care about anyone else. I love Kobe, love somebody, LeBron is LeBron. He's a big guy but MJ still a GOAT.
Yeah. And MJ, your boy too. So
And he's right. He's an Omega. So
yeah, that's your boy. That's your boy. That's your boy. MJ or Kobe?
MJ, the GOAT. MJ's the GOAT. I know some of the young people who didn't watch him, didn't see him. They think differently, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
look back at your video.
I already know. All right. This is a good one. Like when I thought about it, I said, man, I wonder who would win. But you got the Fab Five or the UNLV Running Rebels.
Well, you have done your research, man. But the Fab Five changed changed college basketball.
Period.
They are they're just historic. Running Rebels, they just scored a lot of points. But the Fab Five changed the way people thought about young black athletes and showing the control that they have. So when it comes to Juwan Howard and Chris Webber and Jimmy King and Ray Jackson, and what's that fifth?
Jalen.
And Jalen
Rose
from Southwestern High School in Detroit. Those are the 5-5, those guys. And Jalen's still making a difference with the Jalen Rose Academy that he has in Detroit. And they finally made up, and all five of them are together, and Chris Webber is back in the fold. Unfortunately, Juwan's no longer the coach at Michigan, but still, the 5-5, they're just iconic, and they just changed college basketball for young black athletes. So all day long, 5-5. And the documentary, ESPN 30 for 30 was amazing.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah. The last one, and let's see, audiences, he's going to be 100%. The SEC or the Big 10 or Big 12, whatever y'all are. The Big 10.
We have 18 teams, to be honest. I think the SEC has 16, 15. Yeah, so neither one of them. But yeah, what about them?
Which one? Who you gonna pick? SEC or Big 10? The conference now. The conference
for football, because we've got so many sports that we do extremely well in. We're talking football. We're talking conference. Because we go conference, it's going to be a different story now.
Let's go football.
SEC. I mean, as of late. Now, if you look down through history, it has not been the SEC.
It has not. It's been like the ACC and the Big 10, actually.
Big 10. But as of late, the last 20 years or so, I mean, it's undisputed. The national championships that have come out of here, the players that come out of here, you see how many players from Alabama does the Detroit Lions have? So,
look like all of them.
Brian Branch, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson. Yeah. We just got Terrion. So I mean, it's just they're all over that team. But and even they recruit from down here too. So yeah, SEC. Yeah. I can't deny that.
Okay.
Big Ten's a close second though.
Big Ten's a close second. All right, that's cool, man. Well, I got one more I left out because I think this is a common thing with entrepreneurs. So tell me, like, how do you start your mornings?
I hit the floor running, man. And I hit the floor running, and I usually start in my home gym, and I hit my Peloton bike, and me and Alice Toussaint, Alice cusses me out every morning just about because
AT.
He's going to get on you about your workout, but I start there, and then I'm in my office working. I certainly could do better with some other things. My wife gets up in the morning, she meditates, she reads the Bible, she's in prayer, she's doing all the right things, and I'm working towards that. I'm in prayer. But my makeup, who I am is just I'm into work, and I just start working from sun up to sundown.
I'm gonna give you a copy of my book because I like like I talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Like I get up in the morning, work out. It's called pray, train, repeat. Work out, meditate, pray. Now do it all over again. I think that's very important for entrepreneurs, because one of the questions I was going to ask you is like, do you choose do health or wealth? So, but
Health,
mm,
health all day.
health,
Yeah, and I'm
health
and I'm
all
very
day.
thankful. I'm very thankful that health is where I am. My doctor tells me all the time, at your age, no diabetes, no high blood pressure, no high cholesterol. So she's like, just keep doing what you're doing. So health, it just keeps me going. My mom's 98 years old,
Hmm.
and has arthritis is the biggest thing that she battles. Mind is sharper than mine. I'm starting to forget things and leave the room like, what did I leave? What did I come in here for? Her memory is amazing. Health
Wow.
is so important, and I can I can take health over wealth, and would always take health over wealth.
Right.
But
Yeah, because you
nice,
can't, if you're not healthy, you can't enjoy it.
nice have a little piece of change though, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I gotta come in. Let me see. What do you do for recovery? What I do for recovery is sleep. I mean, because people don't realize how important sleep is because your body actually changes when you sleep. Yeah. So if you don't get a lot of sleep, your body won't change and be able to operate how it's supposed to operate.
So let me ask you this, because I operate on 4 hours, 5 hours max. That's
Okay.
I just don't need a lot. And in fact, I wake up and will be wide awake after 4.5, 5 hours. I'm awake. I just cannot go to sleep, cannot go back to sleep. My mind is racing. It's time to
Mm-hmm.
get things done. And I've been that way for a long time, for as long as I can remember. Is that I just
Right.
don't need, I can't do the 8 hours, 10 hours. Even when I was young, I was not that guy. I could go to bed and be in bed for 8 hours at a time. The bed starts to hurt after 5 hours. I've got to get up. So how does that impact me, or do I need to do better about that?
Um. What time you get to bed? Typically.
1 o'clock in the morning.
So you get up. You get up.
Sometimes.
So now, man, that's a good question because I can go to bed at 11 and get up at 4 and work out. You know what I'm saying? It's one of them things where I think it it applies most when people are starting that journey of working out. Because it's a hormone that's produced if you do not get enough sleep, and it's called ghrelin. And what happens when you don't get enough sleep, and your body starts to store fat in the midsection. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an issue.
Expect
That's an issue.
Yeah. So yeah. So try the problem is just like people are so in this routine. You know what I mean? Um, but sleep is hard to come by. But and I don't know if you take power naps at all?
I don't. Um, Man, I just power through the day and just
Power through
power
day.
through. And there are times when you feel like, okay, if I can just close my eyes for like 10 minutes, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it may be
Mm-hmm.
2 minutes, I'll close the eyes and then I'll be recharged.
You're back at it.
I,
Yep.
I do know that at this point that I've got to stop doing that. I've got to
Mm-hmm.
get more sleep and get it in. So I'm working towards that. I will read the book, and you don't have it
Yeah.
on
Just
audio. You have it on audio tape yet?
No, I don't have my audio. See, I mean, but look, that's the thing. Like, you're gonna repurpose your book, and repurpose mine, and it's gonna be on
Yeah,
audio.
we're gonna do audio. We're doing audio.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
we'll do audio. And my thing is just, if you're getting 4 hours of sleep, try to get 5 hours. Just if you're just resting, you just want to rest and let your body just recover.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So cool, man. So hey, this has been great. So before you leave, I want you to leave the audience with 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 a tip or a nugget they can take with them to help them start, stay on track for the whole week.
Well, and we talked about this about preparation. I think that's the key to being successful in anything, whether it's preparation for your family, and be intentional about
Mm-hmm.
the things you do for your children, especially. and your family in general, for your spouse, for the people that you care about in your life.
Mhm.
Be intentional about making sure that they understand where they fit in your life, and that you love them and that you're there for them. But prepare, prepare, prepare. Preparation is the key to being successful in any area of your life, and do better about always understanding that faith trumps truth.
There you have it. There you have it. There you have it, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for supporting me, and we'll do it again.
We will, and I thank you, and I appreciate you, and I'm proud of what you're doing, because
Thank you.
you are really showing the ability to pivot and to do other things, and that your talent is not just as a trainer, that you have talents and you have the expertise and you have the intellect to do many things, and the entrepreneurship, by you're already an entrepreneur in your training, but to take
Mhm.
it to new heights. And I think there are greater things. And I'm going to speak this over your life, that this is just a beginning, and this is a stepping
Thank you.
stone to greater things for you, because I believe that God has something more for you, and He's going to use you, and He's using you already. And I appreciate the time that you give me to even tell my story, or to talk about things that I think other people might want to hear. So keep at it. And
Appreciate it.
the warm up is exactly that. It's the warm up for when you're going to be hot, sizzling
Thank
hot
you.
from something else, brother.
I
Appreciate you, Curtis.
appreciate it. I appreciate you. Thank you, Art. Yeah.